Conley.
Yeah. Give them credit. First off, they did a good job of changing up their defensive scheme. They got to switching, 1 through 5 and, made it tough on us to get, the ball to Cat in positions where he could be effective. And, didn't have a great rhythm. And it forces it to taking some tough shots and, the ball kind of stuck a little bit more than it had in the first, 3 quarters. And, but, at the end of the day, I was proud of the way that we, showed, that heart going down the stretch all the way through the game, through adversity. This team is built to handle that. And we have a deep team. A lot of guys came out tonight and performed at a very high level. But we got to learn from it. We got to get better at the, last 6-7 minutes of the game, which I think, we got a couple of days to do.
With that, just considering everything that you guys have been through, and how shorthanded you were to play that way, I guess, even through the first 3 quarters, and really be in a position, you take some confidence coming out of that?
A little bit. We expected to be, to win the game. We didn't come in to think that, we just want to play tight and give ourselves a chance. Like, no, we thought we could win the game from, first jump ball. So it's disappointing to lose. We felt like we got a lead and let it slip. And, this should be, a different post-game speech, So that's frustrating, but, we'll learn from it and get ready for Friday. Honestly, before I took my first shot, I thought, like, man, I'm glad it's me, and nobody else, because I'd rather, if I make or miss them, I'd rather be, the guy in control, because I wouldn't have been able to handle it if I was watching somebody else shoot those 3, as a bystander. But, after the first one went in, it felt, kind of calmed me down a little bit and took a couple deep breaths and locked in on the next 2. It's interesting. We had this same, kind of issue in Utah a few years ago in the playoffs, and even throughout the year. And we had to, be at 2 different teams. When a switching team comes to us, we had to, play with the pass more. We had to cut more. We had to, slip screens more and play with a different pace than so when they, in different coverages. So I think that's what we have to learn. I think the next couple of days, I'll get with Coach. Coach, we always talk about stuff all the time, and it might be something that we look at, just try to create more movement, slip opportunities, bounce passes, get in the paint, because if we can break the paint, guys are good enough to make the plays to the corner and get guys closing out. That's where we're really good at.
Ball movement. I just, same thing we talked about in the beginning. Just past, we just got static, and they switched a lot of things, and we didn't go quick enough. We didn't go with enough force, and we needed to get to the free throw line or something like that, or we missed a couple bunnies too, and a couple turnovers as well. But yeah. Not supposed to sit here and talk about the free throw differential, but that was also big.
All right, so the Timberwolves went ice cold in the final 6 minutes of the 4th quarter in overtime, outscored by 13 points, and they went 2 for 16 from the floor. Minnesota will now face, again, the winner of the Pelicans-Thunder game for the right to be the 8th seed in the West. Glad to have Matt Barnes with us. Man, if this is our appetizer for what the playoffs are going to be like, this is fantastic.
I mean, these playing games have always been amazing. I'm not sure if I would have liked it as a player to have to make a 7 or 8 seed and do a play-in, but I know as an analyst now, I love them. They're always exciting, and this game had us on the edge of our seats.
Let's start with Minnesota's problems offensively in the 4th quarter and overtime. What happened?
I just think lack of ball movement. I think the ball was finding energy and moving so freely in the first 3 quarters, and this is a coach's nightmare. They controlled the game for 36 minutes, but unfortunately it's a 48-minute game. They went stone cold in the 4th quarter, left a little bit of light open, and LeBron, Schroeder, and AD took advantage of that.
And you heard LeBron James talking about plays he's been making his whole life, trusting his teammates, drawing and dishing. But you got to have a guy you trust, and Schroeder is one of those guys, 21 off the bench for
Well, I
him.
mean, you think about it, he was almost out, with the sprained ankle early in the game. For him to tough it out and come back in and be so integral in that second half, particularly the fourth quarter, making big plays and making big shots. LeBron has always been the guy to not necessarily have to take it on his shoulders, but always make the right play, and he made the right play tonight.
What haven't we said about LeBron James that's still left to be said? I mean, to do this in your 20th year, carrying a team like this again.
I mean, particularly with the foot injury that probably would have sidelined most for the rest of the season. He's been able to come back. He's had 30 points his last 4 games. And this was a big game. Obviously, the team didn't play as well as they could have, but they advanced, and that's the most important thing for this team.
All right, so now the Lakers, with several days off before they begin the series with the Grizzlies on Sunday. If you're Darvin Ham, what are you focused on with some practice time now?
This is all mental load right now. These guys definitely going to need the minutes off, or the days off. AD and LeBron both played over 40 minutes tonight, so they're exhausted. So they're definitely going to take this time off to just heal anything they possibly can. And it's really just going to be a cram session now, like going back to school, watching a ton of film, a lot of coverages, a lot of things, a lot of walking through, and just kind of maintenance right now for these guys, getting ready for a big series against against Memphis.
How do they stack up against the Grizz?
I like their odds due to the fact that Memphis's front line is shorthanded. No Brandon Clark, no Steven Adams, Triple J, possibly the defensive player of the year, but he is foul prone sometimes. So if he gets in foul trouble this series, who's going to guard AD? Who's going to protect the basket? So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to stay out of foul trouble and contain the Lakers front line.
For now, though, the Lakers playing on into the full body of the playoffs. Matt, great
happening to Matt Barnes again. I enjoy the chance to visit with you after a playoff game. Matt, I just said, and I wasn't kidding, there's playoff basketball and there's bad basketball. There were some stretches in this game. If we're being honest, this wasn't the cleanest basketball we'll see, was it?
A little bit of both tonight, Scott. But, I just loved the play and the energy. I felt like both teams were trying to give it away down the stretch, but the Lakers were able to secure a victory.
The Lakers, as we know, have gone through a lot of different permutations this year just based on the availability of players due to health. And they've made some acquisitions, and they've come up with this rotation. And as we look ahead towards the series with Memphis and what they've got to work with, we know they lean into the playoff experience and greatness of Davis and obviously LeBron. But what do you make of what the Lakers have to work with as they now enter into a series with a 2 seed?
I like what they work with. If you think about it, and I say this with all due respect to Ja, the Lakers have the 2 best players in this series, and that's always important. I think you mentioned, too, at the trade deadline, they made some solid acquisitions and guys that are role players that star in their role. They understand their role. And I think the lack of depth up front for Memphis could be a problem for them, especially because Triple J is often in foul trouble. So not having Steven Adams and I forgot the young fella's name. They ended up tearing something. And Clark, I think, could end up affecting Memphis. But I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup.
I don't have the box score in front of me. The game's just gone final. I love Edwards. I think a lot of people do. Anthony Edwards has got a lot to work with. This was not a great night. 3 of 17. I get, look, they had all the situations that happened before. No Gobert and McDaniels hurts his hand. But Edwards is going to take the next step, right, in the ascension of becoming a great player. This is a night where his best is kind of required. What did you see from him tonight, or what didn't you see?
He just couldn't really get it going. And, whether that shoulder is